In this video, we're going to be focusing on the path of blood flow to and through the kidneys. This is one of the tracings you're going to need to be able to do. And so let me focus you to page 145, and we are looking at number 11 on page 145. Those are all the blood vessels that you need to know. I'm going to change my laser pointer and turn it into a pen. I think I'm going to try blue. See if blue stands out. All right, so we're going to first, there's going to be an artery here called the aorta. And branching off the aorta is this artery, which is called the renal artery. Renal, R-E-N-A-L. Everything renal refers to the kidney. So blood is going to go in through the renal artery. There's actually a second artery here we're not going to know, but we're just going to say it goes from the renal artery into the interlobar artery. Interlobar, I-N-T-E-R-L-O-B-A-R, interlobar artery. And from the interlobar artery, it is going to go up and over the renal pyramid, right? And so it is going into the arcuate artery. An arc is like a rainbow kind of structure. And you can see that the artery and vein that goes over the top of the renal pyramid, it makes kind of an arc kind of structure. Those are the arcuate artery and vein. By the way, just as a digression, the only places that arteries are blue is in the lungs, right? So don't worry about color here. The red blood vessels here are arteries and the blue blood vessels here are veins. Now, from the arcuate artery, blood is going to go out into the cortex. And these smaller arteries that radiate out into the cortex are called the cortical radiate arteries. And that is letter C under number 11, cortical radiate arteries. There's another name for them, but I like the name cortical radiate because I think it's very descriptive. They're out in the cortex, right? And they radiate out like the sun's rays coming out. So these are the cortical radiate arteries. Now, in order to see the next blood vessels, we actually have to look at this middle image on our, what we call the kidney board, so that we can see them because they get really small. They get microscopically small. So I'm going to back up a little bit and show you that here is the interlobar artery. This red blood vessel is the interlobar artery, and this red blood vessel is the arcuate artery, okay? And these red blood vessels are the interlobular arteries. Interlobular arteries. Oh, but I prefer that we call them the cortical radiate arteries because interlobular and interlobar sound too much alike. So cortical radiate arteries. But now we get really tiny, microscopically small branches. And the one that goes into this little white ball thing here, the one that goes in there is called the afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole is letter E. Afferent, A-F-F-E-R-E-N-T, afferent arteriole. Now, inside of that little white ball, there is a spherical capillary bed. I'll show you right there. That's called the glomerulus. And you're saying to yourself, wow, that's getting really, really small, Tidal. Yes, it is. So we've got one more enlargement. Here we go. We are going to go from the cortical radiate artery through the afferent arteriole. The afferent arteriole on this model has got this area cut open. That's how you'll know it's the afferent. And then it's got this structure here. That's all the glomerulus. And then going out is the efferent arteriole. All right? Afferent going in, efferent coming out. The letter A comes before the letter E. So afferent in, efferent out. So let's go back to this middle-sized one. Here's the afferent arteriole going in. Glomerulus is in there. You got to believe me, efferent coming out. And then this is the peritubular capillaries. The peritubular capillaries are the capillaries that are literally wrapped around the tubules. Now, when you look at that image there, you're like, no, there are no tubules there. And you are correct. There are no tubules there because they tried to put that capillary bed there just so that it could be something clear that if I had a lab practical, I could put a piece of tape on it there, and you'd have to know what that is. But you're right. However, in real life, the peritubular capillaries are wrapped around these white tubes, and we will learn the names of the white tubes at the next video. In the meantime, we're going to finish the path of blood flow. Blood is going to go from the peritubular capillaries into the cortical radiate vein, this blue blood vessel. From the cortical radiate vein, it'll go into the arcuate vein. And from the arcuate vein, it goes into the interlobar vein. So let's go over here. We have got cortical radiate vein, arcuate vein, interlobar vein, renal vein to the vena cava. All right? So make sure you can do that. Let's do it real quickly just with a laser pointer, right? We go in the renal artery, interlobar arteries, arcuate arteries, cortical radiate arteries, back here, interlobar artery, remember it's red, arcuate artery, also red, cortical radiate artery, red. Afferent arteriole goes into the glomerulus, efferent arteriole comes out. Let's go over here to the really small one. Afferent arteriole goes into the glomerulus, efferent arteriole comes out. After the efferent arteriole, we got the peritubular capillaries. Then we've got the cortical radiate vein, arcuate vein, then cortical radiate vein, arcuate vein, interlobar vein, renal vein, vena cava. All right, we're almost there. We will do one more video to learn the path that fluid takes on its way to becoming urine.